Hi everyone, we're here today. It's Friday and we are going to answer all your amazing questions.
Yeah, they are. Honestly, some of the questions have been incredible, and I just want to say thank you so much to everybody that came to the shows, everyone that's sent in all these amazing questions, and also just to say that we miss you. We miss you.
Oh, we missed the tour so much. But thanks Paul for, he's got his little list here and he's written everything
I'm
down.
ready to go.
So let's crack on.
Okay. What aftershave did George wear and what did he smell like?
Oh my God, we've had this question so much, haven't we?
Do you know what? I actually don't remember any overpoweringly sort of aftershave smell. Do you?
No, he must have, I guess he did wear aftershave. I mean, most men do, but he didn't, he smelled like, just someone is clean.
Yeah.
So, like when someone's had it's like a showery smell, but I literally couldn't put my finger on it.
The only way I can describe it is that, so Shirley has this amazing perfume. So when Shirley walks into the room, you go, oh my God, and I literally went, what is that perfume? And she told me what her perfume was, and I was like, I've got to get some of that. And but George, he didn't walk into a room and you weren't overpowered by the smell, just his aura.
Yeah, a lot of men though don't they? They walk in and they're like, oh, you smell, either you smell great or you don't. But it wasn't like that. I think George didn't need a smell. He was just,
his presence was
enough.
Okay. What were George's favourite foods, meals, drink?
Well, I know that he loved deep fried zucchini. We used to go to San Carlos in Highgate, well, a lot. That was his go-to restaurant. It was an Italian restaurant. We used to go there all the time, and he would always order deep fried zucchini. Yeah. So that is definitely one. He loves steak as well.
Yeah.
He liked steak.
And he liked red wine.
Yeah.
He loved a Starbucks iced coffee.
He did.
Coke maybe. Sometimes he used to drink Coke, but not like a lot. And he used to steal our coconut water.
Is it true George swore like a trooper?
Absolutely not.
No.
In the whole time that I've known George, I mean, I could count probably on one hand the amount of times I've heard him. I mean, if he was maybe really annoyed, he might say, oh fuck, or something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, no, he didn't. I would not say he was I wouldn't say he was a swearer, really.
No,
would you?
definitely not.
I don't know where that actually even come from, but he's definitely, no, he does not have.
That's a no.
What song do you think is George's most iconic performance?
Ooh, there's so many.
Iconic performance.
So many. I mean, I think for me, he was a phenomenal performer all the time, but I think, and I know this is a bit controversial, but I'm just going to say it, but when he did the Freddie Mercury, I wasn't there, I wasn't on stage with him, but when he did that, he absolutely blew me away, and it was such an incredible charity, and for me, I just think that whole show was just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I could say so many. When he did the performance with Elton John, when they did the duet, Let the Sun Go Down on Me, I thought that was phenomenal. But there's just so many. It's too many. I can't I could literally sit here and list loads, loads.
That's a big one.
What do you think, Shirley?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a massive Queen fan, so I know George did an incredible job of that day and the performance. I mean, is this a vocal performance or just a general vocal and presence performance?
Well, I mean,
because I guess that was pretty iconic. Yeah. But like I said, I wasn't a massive Queen fan, but I think I loved hearing George sing that song. But yeah, I honestly can't answer
it's
that one.
really
way too
difficult.
many.
So there are so many. I mean, because we used to do Parkinson a lot as well. I mean, some of that. I mean, those interviews were incredible, and then then he'd do a little interview, and then we'd do a song, and some of those performances are completely iconic as well. I mean, they're just There really is too many to answer that question.
So whoever asked that question, we can answer.
What do you think?
What do you think?
What do you think?
What was your favourite song to perform with George?
Well, my favourite song to perform with George, I think, would be A Moment With You when I was in the studio, because I would just love another moment with him, really. I mean, that's it was such a special moment, you know, just to sort of actually be together, creating together. I mean, we did it a lot on all of my stuff, but I mean, it was for his album, it was just, and then just to be close and sort of dance, smooching, and it was just like, I've said so many times, for a moment, he wasn't gay. In my little world, he wasn't gay, and you know, it was just, yeah, it was a beautiful moment, really beautiful.
I mean, I'd have to say father figure again. Joe and I have had kind of similar times with him when it's just him and you, and you know, just with the mic, and you're looking into each other's eyes, and you're just like, George Michael loves me.
Jill, when you two talk about those moments, that sounds so magical.
I know, it is. It truly is. It's not something, you know, not a lot of people have, I think only me and Joe have really had those moments where it's just you and him, and sometimes it's not even you know, an engineer or whatever in the studio, so he's doing everything himself. So, you know, so yeah, it's really, really intimate. So yeah.
Where was your favourite concert and why?
Where was
Or performance?
where was our favourite
with
performance
George,
with George, and why? Yet again, that I could say so many. I think Net Aid was probably Net Aid and MTV Unplugged on my two, but certainly Net Aid for me was just because it's the first time I've ever performed in a stadium, something of that magnitude, and you know, and just having that amount of people in the audience was just insane. There was a lot of stuff going on behind backstage as well. That's another story for another day, which was really good fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that it was just a really that I think that was probably one of my standout performances. I just remember the audience going.
Yeah,
and like
you can feel it,
it's just like
you
you could just literally feel hot air just being blown on you.
So what were your nerves like if that was your first
I was
one?
terrified. You know, I just, you know, I've never ever done anything like that in my life. I was so young.
You didn't look terrified.
Well, you know, I'm good at hiding my emotions, as everyone knows by now who's come to the tour. She's the crier, and I'm like, okay, everything's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. So I'm a bit, I don't sort of deal with stuff. I do it all privately. So yeah, if I was nervous, I definitely didn't show. I was terrified.
I think mine would have to be Rock in Rio.
Oh yeah.
Because that was, I mean, I don't know how many. It was probably like 4 times the size of a stadium.
Wow.
So it was like a mad amount of people, which is just unreal. Because one, you can't, you know, after a certain like. I can't think of the word. This, you know, you can't see that far out. That's what I'm saying is you can only see a certain amount of the audience, but you know it went back like so far. And also, it was where George first met Anselmo, so it was for me. I think that's you know, at least that was like a really happy time, and the show was great, and you know, it was just a really good experience being in Brazil and stuff with them, and you know, it was a really nice time for him. So
I think when you do shows like that, I agree with you, because you can only see so far of the audience, but it's when you, I mean, and at the time obviously you're totally in the zone of performance, there's nerves, you're responsible for, you know, all of your peers around you, so you're all working together. And then obviously you look up and you look out at this vast amount of audience. You don't, at the time of, yes, it's terribly nerve-wracking, but and obviously that gig really stands out for me, Net Aid. But it's not until you look back and then you watch it on TV and you go, oh my God,
there were that many people.
There were that many people there. It's just like, and then it's like you kind of go through the whole experience again, and you process it. And it's like,
because it's like just sort of like a group, isn't it, of people that you see, like you can see faces.
Experience.
Beyond that, it's just sort of like heads and hair.
I think now, because obviously we've both been singing for years and both done that we've been in that environment
shows,
so many years, from so many years now. So I'm not making some bumbling my words.
I am too.
No. As soon as the camera went on, I went. It's like I find it more nerve-wracking now, actually performing to a really small, intimate audience, because you can, like, they're just there and they're in your face. So it's quite mad, isn't it?
I think one of the shows that we did, the audience was really close, weren't they?
Yeah.
Like the seats.
It was, yes.
I can't remember where. Was it Fareham or something? It was Fareham, but it was like,
Fareham,
oh my Lord, like they could actually touch the stage.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Oh no, that was Cardiff.
Oh, was that
Yes.
Cardiff?
Cardiff.
Yeah.
But that was the time that I realised when one of the shows you did the picture on stage and they put the lights on. Then when we went backstage, I said, "Oh my God, it was packed."
Yeah,
because we couldn't see. Yeah.
Because we'd sort of spoken to the lighting guy, hadn't we? We'd sort of made sure we got this lighting plot together for each sort of song and segue and blah blah blah. And we said at all times, can you keep it nice and dim in the audience so we can concentrate, so they can look at the stage. And then, as you said, there was one particular show that we took the pictures and then we house lights on them. The house lights. We're like, oh my God, there's like
How's your
so many
expression?
people
Like,
there. So maybe note for next time. Maybe we should have the audience a bit lit,
so we can see your faces.
So when was the last time that you all got together before George's passing?
Well, I mean,
all together, you, Jay, and George.
Band.
That would be
a long time.
That would be what was the Olympics, when he had that party after the Olympics.
So
that's when we were all together.
So that would have, when was the Olympics?
2012, yeah.
So that was when everyone was together.
Everybody,
I think, even if certain people weren't on that actual show, people were still there for the party.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he had a party after the Olympics at his house in Highgate.
Yeah.
And
I guess that was the last time everyone was there.
Like
even
Pepsi and Shirley were. I remember Pepsi being there.
Everyone was there. Andrew was there.
Andrew was there, and there was
and people that had worked with him in other times as well were there. I think only
Liam Gallagher chatted me up that night. Just saying.
I think only Sharon and Laurie weren't there, but I think that's because they were in the States.
Yeah.
But I think everybody else that had worked with him at the time. So I think 2012 was when everyone was together.
Yeah. It's a good party.
I bet.
I left very late, just saying.
Do you know what song George was most proud of to sing?
To sing?
Sing, or when he was on stage.
Well, I think I don't know about the singing on stage,
recording,
I do know that the body of work, the older album, that body of work was his. I think he was so proud of that, because I think that whole album was like a bit of therapy for him. He really sort of laid his soul on. It was all about. There's a lot of lyrics in that were sort of very personal to him. And I think, I know that he was super proud of Older.
Yeah.
I mean, he was proud of a lot. I mean,
he was proud of a lot. I do think that was his. He
Most
was
personal
really,
album.
really, personal. And obviously, Jesus to a Child was one of those songs, and I know that obviously that meant so much to him.
Yeah.
I'd have to say that really. Yeah. I agree. I concur.
Did you ever hear George sing a bad note or wrong note?
Well, he's not superhuman, but
Not very often.
Not very often, and it would have been
hardly at all.
Maybe at a rehearsal or something when he's trying something out that didn't necessarily work. But I mean, not when you're on stage and doing something. No, I don't. Obviously when you're recording, you try things and some things work and some things don't. So I'm sure he did the odd note here, even though he's pretty perfect, but not that perfect.
Did George do his own beard styles, or was it done by a hairdresser?
That's a bad question.
Good question. His own manscaping. Well, I'm sure. Hopefully, he did.
Shirley.
Manscaping.
Well, his sister.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah,
used
he
to
had
do it,
hair.
didn't she?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if he wasn't doing anything specific like TV or something, and then obviously he'd do his own beard. But when he was working, Mel was doing his hair and bits, so she would have tied it up. But the actual, you mean the shape of it, I guess. Is
Yeah, the beard style.
Yeah, the style. No, he would have chosen. No, he
I think he would have chosen her, but I think she
would have
quite,
cleaned.
yeah,
she was there all the time.
Yeah, she was there to, like, I think she was quite sort of George wasn't really particularly into like fashion and stuff like that. Anyway, I mean, he appreciated fashion, and he
wasn't a clothes horse, was he?
No, he wasn't. I mean, you'd look in his cupboard, he'd have the
same thing.
same white t-shirts,
same black
or black t-shirts, or jeans. Yeah, it was quite sort of.
Yeah.
And he wasn't sort of particularly massively vain either, was he, Georgie? I just think he was just, he liked to look nice when he was performing, but he wasn't a particularly vain person.
No, I don't think so. No.
If there was a film made retracing George's life, which gave a good balance about his life, including his kindness and generosity, would you appear in it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I think we'd
kind of to do. We're kind of ourselves. Really,
yeah, we would.
Yeah. I mean, there's been so many documentaries and stuff about George, and I've not seen them all, but I've seen a few. And sometimes I feel like, wonder how much they actually really know George. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So rather than just I worked with him on a particular project or whatever. I mean, of course you've met that person, spent some time with them, but I'm not sure how sort of like in depth people. I mean, I see a lot of people talking about him, and not necessarily like I might not, I've not seen them around or whatever. So it kind of makes me wonder. I never saw you in the whole time that I've been working with him. So sometimes I feel like I'm not sure how true some of the documentaries are. I mean, unless it's something that's the estate has been involved with, and I think that's kind of the things that you can trust.
Yeah.
I mean, everything else is, I don't know. I read something, I don't know if it was in the last few days anyway, and someone had said that they had worked with George at a certain time, and that there was a track out there that has never been released, and I was like, no, really? Because it's not someone that I've ever come across, like even when you're doing background vocals and someone was involved in that. But I'm not sure. I don't know. Sometimes I'm not sure how true some of the stories are. That's
I mean, I'd love to, put or be involved in something like that is literally about him and his soul, with regards to his generosity and his loyalty and his kindness and his songwriting and his artistry and all. I mean, I'd love to be, and maybe we will do that one day. It'd be amazing to do something like that.
I think that's important, because anyone that knows George that's the thing that it was most important to him, was that his songwriting, his how he was as a person, his integrity. All of those things are really important, not the, what he was doing in his spare time or private time or any of that. He wants to be remembered for the music, which he is. I mean, the music is timeless, and I think that he wanted the music to go to a new generation. And I think somewhat kind of, what we're doing.
George has been seen playing the guitar and piano. Was he self-taught, and did he play any other instruments?
Yeah, I think he was definitely self-taught. I mean, I don't know. Before Wham, he might have had lessons. I'm not sure, but I know that when he was in the studio, he would do basic chords, which is why that's how he would songwrite.
Yeah, he played I think he did when he was a kid. I think he played something at school. I can't remember if it was a violin or probably like the flute, like we all played. But no, I mean he
the
could
recorder.
Play.
London's Burning. Do you remember? I can still play that.
I think every one of us can play that.
Yeah, I think he did at school, but I mean, not anything that he used, I don't think, going into adulthood. And I think he just played all his songs on, I don't know if it's a guitar, piano, but he could play everything. Like, kind of, he knew what he wanted in his head.
Yeah.
He'd play that, and then he would get like the best musicians to say, "Look, this is what I want." You know, then enhance that. Unless it was something very, I think, very simple, then he would play it himself. I think Patience, didn't he play? Just the Conversation. Didn't he play that?
Yeah.
I think he played. So if it was something like a basic
Yes.
thing, then he would. But other than that, I think he would get like the best people
Yeah.
in. But he always knew exactly like what he wanted. Maybe he just couldn't do all of that, and then that's why he would get somebody else in.
When we had, we did which you'll see if you watch the Conversations with the George Michael singers. That's a little plug for it, by the way. If you watch it, we did an interview with Michael Brown, and he actually explains that in the interview about his guitar experience with George in the studio, and that kind of comes across.
Yeah.
So
that's a really
so you'll have,
good
you'll
one,
have to watch that. Well, we've got
it's a
3
really good
epic
ones.
conversations with the George Michael singers coming up, so you'll have
In fact,
to.
the band were way more interesting than us.
Yeah, they were. Their interviews with those were a little bit more. We had specific questions. Ours were just random, kind of like bit sort of
Unfiltered.
unfiltered.
Well, that's what people love about you.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Do you have a precious moment from the Symphonica tour?
Yeah, I do, because obviously that was the tour where George got sick midway. So for me, when he came back and we went on stage and we did it again, it was just like, oh, there he is, in front of his audience, and like he's back, and his voice was incredible, like the whole night. And I remember when he was sick, because we always used to go in his dressing room before we went on, just to do like a little warm up. And the night, I think we were at the Albert Hall, and he really wasn't well that night before we went on, and then that was an awful night for us to watch him perform, because he went on anyway, even though he didn't feel well. We just didn't want to let anyone down, because that's how he was. But to watch him perform through that, and we knew he was unwell, was so awful. But then when we came back and we did it again, and he was out there in front, it was just like, it made your heart like just so happy. So yeah, for me.
I can't answer that question because I wasn't on Symphonica, which I really wanted to be on that. I tried to be on that, and I tried to be on
25
Live. I mean, he always asked me, and he always waited.
We waited till the last minute.
Which one was that for 25
That was 25 Live.
Yeah,
Literally waited to the last, like, I think 6 days before the show.
Really?
And he was still
I didn't
waiting.
know that. I didn't know
And
that.
then he came up to me and said, Joe's not coming. And I was like, oh, so we're just going out with like the 5 of us. And then he was like, no, you have to get another singer in. And that's when he got another singer in. And she had to come in and learn all of those songs in 6 days.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking. I just I was on another tour, so I did try and get out of it. I was on tour with Robbie, which didn't go down well really with George either, really,
No.
did it?
It's a little bit jealous.
I know. I just honestly, there's like some things you would love to just rewind and kind of, I don't know. It's just decisions and choices that you make sometimes, and it's just. I was halfway through it. I couldn't get out of it, and it was a lovely, complicated tour, put it that way. But I came away from that like I took a year off after that. Yeah.
You need it after you've been on a tour.
Yeah, when you've done a world tour, it's like
a
I
lot.
can imagine like. I mean, I just don't know how some artists could do back-to-back world tours, because they do. I mean, those.
Some people are just
Rolling Stones
terrible,
guys, those
don't they?
Rolling Stones guys. I mean,
they're like in their 80s or something.
I don't know how they do it.
I guess they don't know anything else. It's like that's just been their life, hasn't it? So
Yeah,
maybe that's what it is.
I think it's really important to have a balance and just come away and just remind yourself of who you are.
Oh, someone dropped something.
Just remind yourself who you are as a person and who your friends are and who your family. Because when you're away and you're sort of.
Well, when you're on tour, it's like a honeymoon you're on with people that you know,
You're
you
in a little
like,
bubble.
obviously,
Yeah.
but
You're in a little bubble,
yeah,
aren't you?
it's not real. It's not the real world. So yeah, it's good to. It's hard when you've done a long tour. It is hard. You do definitely need a
Yeah.
rest.
You know when you're like travelling abroad, and can jet lag affect your vocals or things like that, or tiredness?
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it can. Yeah, but you normally when you're doing a long, you know, say you're going to Australia or something, you have a good few days off. I mean, it's set so that you can
Have a
you know,
bit of
you
rest
can
beforehand,
rest,
yeah.
Well, that was the old days.
Now,
Not anymore. Those luxuries have gone.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that right
well,
now.
we certainly wouldn't have that luxury.
Yeah,
We'd have to like hit the ground running.
Lots and lots of water.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of water.
And no alcohol.
Yeah.
Do you know of a song that George would have wanted to recover, but for whatever reason never got a chance to record it?
I don't know of a particular song off the top of my head, but I know that he absolutely was just mesmerised by Amy Winehouse. He really became quite sort of. But you know, I get it as well. It's because I became quite obsessed with her, and I just knew one day that you'd get that call. That she was she was a car crash. You could see it. It's like, and it was just, and I wasn't seeing it through the lens of, oh gosh, one day it was like your heart was like so. You just were so worried about her, and I think I felt like that about George, but not as much. I didn't see it coming with George, but I did with Amy, and I think he did.
Well, he did. I mean, he may have even recorded. Maybe he did record Losing Game. I mean, we did do it on Symphonica, so maybe he did record it. But I think that anything George wanted to record, he probably would have done. So I doubt there's anything out there. If he wanted to cover something,
He would have done it.
He would, yeah. It's interesting though, that he loved covers, even though he was such an incredible songwriter. But then, when he said he likes doing covers because he's so detached from it, there's no emotion, he can sing it without all the emotion. So then I was like, I get why you like singing covers, because it doesn't mean so much to you, so he can actually enjoy singing the song without any pain for it. So I kind of get it. I was always like, why does he want to do, you know, a whole tour of covers? Like, what is going on? Actually, when I think about that, the Cover to Cover tour was the second tour, right? So he did Faith, and then he did Cover to Cover. So there was no Listen Without Prejudice. Or that must have been like, I wonder when. Do you know when the Cover to Cover tour was?
I can't remember when that was.
So I wonder why there was no tour with Listen Without Prejudice, and he went straight into the covers. Interesting, but you know, he was. I guess he could just enjoy it, without any kind of, this means so much to me with each song.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think George ever felt lonely?
100%,
Doesn't everyone?
But on tour he probably was. On tour he probably was lonely. Maybe he was more lonely on tour, because that's kind of because you're going to cities, aren't you? And then everybody knows you're in that city, so you can't really walk around. You can't do what you would normally do. You can't always come out and hang out with the band. You know, we did a few times, but it would be like you've got to get a restaurant to have a private room and stuff. So I mean, it must be super lonely.
And also, you know, him losing two of the biggest love of his life, his mum and Selmo. You know, it's that there'll always be a lonely place in your heart. You know, that there's always going to be that little lonely void. You know, that you just can't ever sort of really replace. I think you just learn to live with that, don't you? So I would imagine. You know, he never said to me, "Oh, I'm really lonely." But you know, you could tell sometimes there was, you know, a sadness there sometimes. You know, but you know, I think that's pretty normal. I think everybody has some sense of loss.
He's a human being, and everyone feels lonely.
The performance of Different Corner on Parkinson is an absolute masterpiece by both George and BVs. What are your memories from that performance?
Oh, I don't know. I used to love going to do Michael Parkinson. He was such a I love
Lovely,
Mike.
wasn't
He was
he?
so lovely.
So lovely.
And also the band as well, because sometimes the band would be there because they. It was just a lovely show to do. He was always so warm, and
He had some good interviews. With
yeah,
George,
and you
didn't
could
they? Really,
tell
and
that
they
George was
really liked
comfortable.
each other,
yeah, you could tell that he actually enjoyed doing those
But I
interviews.
say they were very natural interviews, aren't
Yeah,
they?
really,
yeah.
and I mean, George always interviewed so well. He was so
He's very,
articulate.
and he's so honest. I
Yeah.
think that's the thing. He's not filtering himself,
No,
is he? So.
no. But what's the special memory from that?
It was kind of doing that version of that song, I guess, was
Yeah, 'cause
interesting
it
because
was
we'd never sung it in
so
that
stripped
way.
down.
So
It was really
yeah,
stripped
really
down,
stripped
wasn't it?
down, but it was great. Yeah,
Yeah.
really good. Loved it.
What was your first impression of George when you met him, and did that change after working with him?
Well, I mean, my first impression of him was how amazingly comfortable he made me feel, even though he was this huge icon of a man. I mean, I used
And you
to.
went to his house, that's how you
I was. Yeah, I went to his house.
That
That's my
was
first
his
night.
her first thing.
Incredible.
Yeah, and I was a Wham fan. I was a huge Wham fan. I had posters on my wall, so I was a Wham
Of
fan.
Andrew Ridgeley, though.
Well, of both of them, but I did fancy. I fancied Andrew Ridgeley, and there's a story, and I know there is a story that So I remember when they were doing Wham were doing an interview at Terry Wogan, and I remember standing outside the theatre in Hammersmith with a bunch of fans, and we were all like screaming, Wham, Wham, like waiting for them to come out. And there was loads and loads of people there. I get a bit claustrophobic, so I was a bit like, ooh. And then one girl said, "They're coming out of the stage door! Quick, everybody run!" So all of this group of girls went running round to the stage door, and because I was like, "Oh no, it's too many people. I'm not going to do that." I remember standing out, so like kind of stiff where I was, and then all of a sudden these doors opened, and literally, and this car screeched up next to me. I was like that, and then these doors, and then Andrew Ridgeley ran past me, and I was like that. Watched him get in the car, and then George ran past me and got in the car, and I looked, and I had my autograph book, and I was kind of like, and I looked at George, and he just looked at me and just smiled, and I just thought, oh my God. So I don't think I
Did
ever.
you ever tell
I
him
don't
that?
think I ever told him that story.
Wow.
I love that.
He would have loved that.
Not about Andrew though.
No, he would have loved that.
Yeah, I was just joking.
But when I did meet him, I don't know. I thought I was going to feel so, just sort of starstruck.
Yeah.
I really thought I was going to be starstruck, and I just wasn't. The moment I met him, he just made me feel so comfortable, and I mean, I tell this story when we do our show, and because we all say how we met George, individually, and I say that I spent all night with him on the floor, we're just talking about music and sharing music, and that continued, that level of closeness, and him making me feel comfortable, and his generosity and his loyalty, and and his mentor. I mean, like, if it was not for George, I would not have the career I have today, and also Shirley Lewis. Because Shirley Lewis introduced me to Ronan Keating. There's a whole big story about that. So, so there's a lot that I have to thank George for. You only need one person to believe in you. You really do. And that someone of that sort of caliber to believe in me was just like, it was insane. So he's an incredible human being, and yeah, he would always make us feel special, always. Even when we were at rehearsals, there was one time when we were rehearsing for, what was the album?
Oh, it was Songs from the Last Century.
Songs from the Last Century. So which we were supposed to do live. So we had a whole 8 weeks.
Not me.
Oh,
just
Shirley
her.
wasn't there. It was another singer. And we did a whole 8 weeks of like recording this whole album. And this other particular singer, because he said, "Oh, we need to do a solo bit now." This other particular singer started singing because she was basically wanted to put herself forward, and George was like, "No, I want Jo to do it," and he would always call you out, make you feel special like that. Am I right, Shirley?
No,
because he did it to you.
Yeah, but I did, that's very special. I mean, we definitely, the both of us, had very special relationships with him. Obviously, George has worked with a ton of singers over the years. You know, mostly I've been in the
But he
mix
had his faves.
with that. But I do feel like I do feel like I remember distinctly when we went to do Symphonica. The first day, all the orchestra came in. All of the American band, so we were in Air Studio, so I think there's a picture of it actually, so everybody's there, Phil Ramone, everyone, and we're just about to start Father Figure, and they were just messing around with it, and he goes, oh Shirl, that's just me and you on this track, isn't it? When we're in the studio, he goes into this story about us recording, and I'm like,
Just so everyone knows.
Just so everyone knows, that's my girl right there.
Yeah. No, he would do that.
Before you mess with her, don't mess with her.
He would do that a lot, and I think the reason why he did that, especially with myself and Shirley, is because he absolutely handpicked us. I know Brad nicked my demo tape and played it in the studio, but it was him that called me.
It was him that
called me. It was him that chose me. It was him that, so I was his little protege, and and it was the same with you, Shirley.
And really, the only people that actually recorded with him on the songs that he released. I mean, I'm sure maybe he did other stuff recorded with other singers but they weren't released.
Yeah.
But I mean, females.
Yeah.
It's just me and you. I mean, that is an enormous honour. I mean,
totally.
There is no bigger honour than
to
do that. If it wasn't me, although he did use her and he didn't call me, but
What for?
well, let's. Do you want me to go through all the
No,
songs
but
that
hang on
she
a minute.
was on?
Should we go through all the tours and all the things that I wasn't there on?
All right, he shared the love. But isn't that just so wonderful?
Oh, it's just amazing. Honestly, sometimes I just doing this whole process has made me realise even more so how honoured
Special
and
it is,
special.
isn't it?
I mean,
Yeah.
he's still making me feel special. He's still making me feel special.
How special and incredible is that?
Do you know what I mean? Like that,
He's
he's not here, and he's still.
doing
As we say, he's like the man that just keeps giving.
Yeah.
He really is, and he had.
Still taking care of us. It
Yeah.
feels like
Totally.
he's still taking care
Yeah,
of us to
totally.
Allow these shows to go ahead, and for his fans, his lovelies to embrace us. That's all him.
Yeah.
That's and I mean,
We wouldn't be doing this
wouldn't be
without
doing any of
George.
it.
This is.
And I think
this is like a thank you, isn't it? It's a thank you and a celebration. I know we keep saying it,
but
but
it is. But it's so nice for us that you have all connected with us, and even taking time to write your questions and be interested in what we're doing. That's all. George is giving that to us, and hopefully you feel like George is still giving to you guys as well, because he loved his lovelies. Yeah. He really did. He really appreciated each and every one of you for he saw it as loyalty to him.
What was the most challenging project you all worked on, and how did you navigate it?
Well, personally, was Unplugged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? Should I say why?
Yeah,
Go on,
why?
yeah.
Just only because it was my first ever live gig. So we had a 6-week rehearsal, but prior to that, I'd already rehearsed by myself for 6 weeks, and I'd learnt every single part. I learnt the alto, the soprano. I'd learnt every single part, because I didn't know where I was going to be placed. So when I got to rehearsals, I knew everything. I knew absolutely everything. So for me, it was a 12-week rehearsal. And also I hadn't met anyone in the band before, and that was my first time meeting everybody, and I knew that everyone, and obviously George had asked me to do it, so I was coming in completely out of the blue. I didn't know how any of these guys were going to take
B,
me
yeah,
or B
yeah.
or like, you know, and they all, and when I remember getting there, I was like one of the first ones there, sitting there like that, and they're all like, whoa, you know, joking and laughing and together, and I was thinking, oh no, but they were just honestly incredible. Just, you know, she's a beautiful lady. So yeah, they took me under their wing. So yeah, it was a nerve-wracking experience, and also having to navigate sort of spending and having all these incredible personal fun times with George, and then having to kind of navigate then into being like super professional. You know, so it's like I was like, hi George, you know, and then like sort of pretending not to know him but know him, and that, it was like really weird. I didn't want to be like, you know, I didn't
like
want
teacher's
to
pet.
yeah, I didn't want to be that. I was just like, it was like, oh god, I just wanted to sort of, I don't know, hide away really and just kind of get through it. But yeah, no, it ended up after sort of, I don't know, like 4 or 5 days, you know, I just, oh, I'm going to right laugh with this lot, honestly.
Yeah, I really don't find anything that challenging. No.
Take it on, just take it on.
You just take it on.
What do you miss the most about George?
I mean, everything. I mean, literally everything. Random calls at 4 in the afternoon, just not knowing if you're going to go on tour this year or in 10 years. Not knowing, oh, he's going to call you for a show. Just the unpredictableness of him, I guess. Just, yeah.
And him
just
not being around, him not being around, it's like...
It's sad, isn't it?
It's really,
sad.
really sad. It's just, you know, it's... Yeah, it's... Yeah, just...
Everything.
Yeah, all of it. But, you know, we're keeping his memory alive by doing what we're doing in a funny way, shape or form. But it's, you know, it's still not the same having him with us.
Yeah.
You know,
But it definitely makes us feel closer.
yeah.
Did George ever surprise the band musically, like changing last minute or improvising on stage?
He'd never improvised on stage. No. He would be like, he knows what he's going to do, and I mean, in rehearsals, he might go, "Oh no, I want to change that."
Yeah.
But he's never like on the day.
Yeah.
But he'd just, he knew how he was going to sing a song, and you know, it's not one of those singers that did something different every night. And in fact, I'm exactly the same. You are too. I'm like, okay, this works, and that's
But
it.
you know why? Because of George drilled it.
George
drilled it into
By the
us.
way, someone gave me this ring. I wore it actually through the whole tour. No one can see this. I think it's the faith ring, but anyway, thank you. Well, I have been wearing it the whole tour as well.
And can I say, if we're talking about rings, one of the fans mentioned about me wearing this ring on my thumb and it being really bad for your health. So I did listen, and I've actually been wearing it on that finger now.
Oh, don't do that.
See? Look. Talking about ring pieces. Sorry. That's the sort of thing I do to George.
Yes.
That's just, like shocking, in the most really inappropriate places as well. Did loads of that when he was doing that, when we went to do the live, no, we had to do all the promo for the older album. And we went to Paris. Oh my god, I was just doing that all the time. He was having all these interviews, and I was so bold, so bold and naughty. I was just thinking, oh god, sorry George. He loved it really.
So, did you have to rework your vocals and harmonies after Lucy wasn't on the tour after the Shepherd's Bush show?
No, and the reason we didn't is because basically there were 3 parts, and we ended up, when Lucy was there, we were kind of doubling up. So it was either Lucy was singing the same part as Jo, or she was singing the same part as me, or the same part as Jay. So when Lucy wasn't there, it didn't make a difference to our harmonies. So yeah, but a very good question.
Is your MD, Steve Sidwell, the same trumpet player that plays at the end of Freedom on Wham?
I can't remember the end of Freedom, can you?
I can't remember.
How did it go? Go on, Paul, sing
No,
it.
I can't play a trumpet. Or even pretend to be a trumpet.
I bet someone out there will know that the answer to that.
I mean,
I don't know. Steve was always around.
He was in
Yes.
the brass
He was around.
section, so I'm assuming he was the brass section
Yeah.
for in Wham, so I'm assuming it was him. Yeah.
We love Steve.
We love Steve. Is there anything there?
So the recent shows had a great mix of up-tempo songs and ballads. 1 minute we were dancing and singing along at the top of our voices. The next we were so emotional and crying into our tissues. How did you go about a set list and running order?
Who said that?
And that one is from Heidi Longhair.
Heidi with the long hair. Hi, Heidi with the long hair. Don't you go cutting your hair now, because I'm not. It's two of the fans are identical twins, and we've now established who's who just by call Heidi with the long hair. So if you cut your hair, it's going to be like start all over
How
again.
did you know it was Heidi?
Because Heidi and Helen both put ones about the tour where a lot of other people had similar questions about
I see,
George.
about George.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, myself and Shirley had a lot of input with the creative process of it all, because when we were on tour and we started this whole idea, when we were sharing memories and we were unpacking all these stories and we were saying, oh my God, then a show was born, because we were saying, oh my God, like there's so many people that would love to hear these stories. And then we started unpacking all the different songs that we'd want to do. But I remember we were in the dressing room, and you were playing Cowboys and Angels, and the piano bit at the start. But oh my God, that's got to be the start of the show. It's got to be the start of the show.
Oh wow.
And that's how that came about. And then you were saying, oh, but then we should do a spotlight. And then I was going, oh my God, yeah, then we should do this, and then we should do that. So that's how the show
It's so
actually
emotional,
started.
that beginning.
Yeah. But then we were like, that represents George. So we wanted the essence of George with the spotlight and the smoke. And then when that went away, then we were like, now that's left us to tell our story. So that was basically, that's why the songs are in the way they are, because we were trying to go in some kind of order. So that's how it, that's why it's up and down and dancing and crying.
And that's why we started with Wham, because obviously that's
where I
that's
started.
where Shirley started, and then obviously we then go to Jay. So we did it chronologically with regards to the original OG, the second OG.
Yeah. And that's
And then
why
the
the
third,
songs are a bit like, oh, 1 minute you're dancing, then you're not, then you do. But that's life, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're taking everyone on a roller coaster
Yeah.
ride, and
Journey,
that is what it is.
Yeah.
So that's the questions we've got from everybody, but I have one for you,
Oh, come on then.
because I'd really like to know. So some people may or may not know, but the 8th of September 2023, I came to see you two on tour, the night before the opening night, and you both told me the idea you had for a show.
Oh, wow, is that when it was?
Yes, September the 8th, 2023.
Wow.
The night before the opening night
Oh,
of the
that's
tour.
Oh my God,
that's
September
amazing.
the 8th,
September the 8th.
2023.
I only know because I got the picture of the three of us, and it's the date
I
on
remember
my...
meeting you that. I remember you saying, "Oh, can you come for a drink with me? Because we got to meet Paul, and
Oh yeah,
he
because
set up my fan page.
yeah. Oh, that's.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember the bar. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were in the hotel bar.
Yeah.
weren't we?
Yeah,
And
yeah. Wow.
So my question is, going back to then, going along your journey, could you have imagined doing a sold-out show, then a tour, and then all the reviews 5-star?
Well, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
because
You wanted it.
Yeah, we
well,
want.
no, but that's what we.
That's
this is.
Yeah,
isn't
we
it?
totally. And actually, we haven't even. This is literally just the start. We've envisaged the. We can see it. We can see
We've
the
got
end.
our last show.
Yeah, we've got our last show. That's absolutely what we wanted. But honestly, I am so proud and just super grateful and humbled by all the people that have come, and all the incredible reviews that we've got. I mean, I thought we were going to put on a great show, but I actually didn't realise how incredible the show was going to be, how it was going to be, the response was going to be perceived. I mean, I just, I didn't know what that feeling was going to feel like.
And we hadn't actually put the band together either at that point.
No, just an idea.
So
to begin
it
with.
was
yes.
everything.
Yeah.
Just like the band, I have to give a big shout out to the band because
Yeah, they're
honestly they worked their asses off. They gave us like everything they had,
Yeah.
and they loved playing George's music. Some had played with him, some hadn't, but everyone, didn't they? Gave it their
They did,
all, and
they did.
the show was. I thought the show was going to be good, but you know, I mean, I know what we do, but the band kind of just was the icing on the cake, and George would have loved all the musicians too, like the ones that hadn't worked with him, he would love, and the crew. Our crew is just, and everyone was so nice. There wasn't any difficult people. It was just everything is just perfect.
Yeah,
I have
well,
to
yeah.
say,
I've
perfect,
never
isn't it?
worked on a tour where everybody has, including yourself, Paul, everybody has given 110%. Everyone's come in with the utmost professionalism, kindness, and generous of spirit. I mean, people have gone above and beyond. But, you know, you'll see an interview with our musical director, Steve Sidwell, if you look at the conversations with the George Michael singers, which you must subscribe to. But we do an interview with Steve Sidwell, and he actually explains the essence of the actual tour. So I will leave it when you'll have to listen to that. But yeah, I mean, in answer to your question, I mean, I pray that we continue this. I mean, look, there is some things bubbling away.
Yes, we've got lots of
You'll have to wait for the
announcements to come.
announcement. So we are
Well, not yet, but
in
in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we are. There's things bubbling away, and we just want to continue doing this. You know.
But we can't do it without you.
So, as well as all the questions that people put in, there was a lot of people who wanted to thank you for doing this. Because for them, they missed George as well as you, and they felt coming to the shows, the presence of George is there. And you've got people who never had been, as we were talking earlier, been to a show before, and this is their first time to virtually get as close as they could to actually seeing his songs performed. And then there's a lot of people bringing their children now who've only heard the songs on radios or watching
and then
it,
performed
and
by
now
us
actually
live,
to see it live. So, so everyone want to thank you for that. And I want to say just how hard you guys have worked as well to put on such an incredible. I know you don't stop, the two of you. You deserve.
We don't stop. Oh my God, we're like.
But honestly, you deserve all this. Honestly, it's just.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Paul.
you.
That's
Thank
so
you for
sweet.
doing this and putting all of this together.
Yeah, and
thank you everyone for your questions.
We've
really.
tried to get as many in as we can.
There's
I know some
still
might be missed out. Yes.
Lots more.
Yeah,
Actually, there's quite a group of questions that we're gonna leave for a specific.
Yeah.
Can we tell them?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of MTV
MTV Unplugged questions, which we're gonna
We'll
we're gonna
make
do a
one
special.
thing because there's a lot.
You can
to
talk about
unpack.
a long time for one question.
Yeah. So we will be back.
We will be back.
And if you want to ask us any more questions,
Yeah,
just
put them in the comments
keep
below.
them coming, because we want to keep interacting with you, and we just want to show you that we're here. We love you.
We're here, we're not
miss you.
going anywhere.
We're not going anywhere. We really aren't. We're really not.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.